yoga mat here. I've got my text here. Hopefully you can still hear me. So some of these asanas or poses only require you to lie down. Be gentle but firm with yourself. You're asking yourself to be the change you need. The first posture we're going to do is Supta Padangusthasana. I'm going to use this resistance band as a belt. So this is a supine hamstring stretch. That means lying down hamstring stretch. And you will find it stretches out the feet, the legs and the toes, but you can also involve the hands, the arms, the neck and the fascia, which is the loose connective tissue that sits beneath the skin and acts as a communicative layer between the different areas of the body. So you're allowing your body in a way to talk to different parts of itself. Okay, the hamstrings are 4 sets of tendons at the backs of the thighs, and they get very tight when sitting, driving, or even running or cycling or doing other repetitive movements in sport. And the Achilles tendon, you'll know that here, which is the largest tendon in the human body, gets stretched in this pose. And if you hang from the belt or just put a bit of effort into the arms, they're working too. So keep the thigh muscles working and the calves strong for this pose to be great at creating a bit of strength. But you can also create a sense of relaxation as part of the stretch. And that's a big part of dealing with hypertension. Within the long muscles at the back of the thighs lie the blood vessels and the nerves. And when these muscles are tight, the blood vessels and the nerves get squeezed. When you gently stretch the backs of the legs and the feet, you're encouraging the muscles at the backs of the legs to lengthen and relax. When you do this while you're focusing on breathing gently and slowly, you're giving yourself lots of biofeedback opportunities. If the muscles relax, there's more space for the blood vessels. Result, potentially at least, reduced blood pressure. So first, lie down on your yoga mat along the floor. I'm going to go off script a bit here and hope I can get these points right. So just use your hands and help yourself to lie back. And then draw the shoulder blades closer together behind the back. Have the arms alongside the body and take the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Bring the chin down slightly. Spend a moment or two becoming aware of what it's like to experience yourself from within a bit more. So move the attention inside the feet and legs and inside the hips and pelvis, abdomen, chest, arms, hands and fingers, neck and head. And then you can draw the legs a bit closer together, push the heels away and lengthen yourself from the crown of the head down to the heels along the mat. So you can bring the arms in a bit like a soldier, palms pressing in towards the thighs. Take a breath or two here. And you can also check your alignment. This is really why you need to teach. So check that your hips are an equal side length from each side of the mat. And do the same with your shoulders as far as possible. You're not going to get exactly right, but that gives you a sense of lining up the two sides of the body. Then you can bring the right knee in towards the chest and gently give it a squeeze. And obviously, if you need to, you can bend the left leg. So you can adapt this posture. And when you're ready, whichever position you've chosen as the base position, doesn't matter if this left leg bends slightly, you can loop your belt around the foot if you want to, and lengthen the leg up towards the ceiling, and then just hang out here. You can keep a slight bend in that lifted leg if you want. Lengthen your exhalation. In this entire series, we're going to focus on lengthening the exhalation. We'll just stay here for 3 or 4 breaths. And if you breathe really slowly, then 3 or 4 breaths adds up to about a minute. Obviously, the more you pull on the belt or strap, or even if you're holding the back of the leg, the more you pull, the more you're engaging your arm muscles. You can pull on the calf, you can pull on the thigh, you can draw on the belt. You don't want to force anything, but you want to feel a sensation, a stretch. And sometimes it's nice to lift the head and chest up, straighten the leg more and the elbows. Some yoga teachers will say you have to have this leg absolutely straight. I'm not really that bothered. Just hanging out, and obviously you can stay here for as long as you like. Focus on the exhalation, and you can visualize sending blue or green or white light with your breath to the back of the thigh and the back of the knee and the back of the calf and to the Achilles tendon. Stretch the toes, push the heel away. And then release. Bring the knee back in, hug the knee, and then just pause between the 2 sides. You want to give yourself time to feel a difference between the sensations in the left and the right leg. And then bring the arms together, the legs together, lengthen yourself again. Check the 2 sides of the body. You might feel, oh, I did this before. This is the discipline of getting to know yourself in space. Self-awareness is going to help with your biofeedback. I'll go to the other side. Bring that left knee in, bend the right leg if you need to. Keep it bent the whole time if you need to. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you can rotate the ankles as well if you want to. Use your belt around the foot. Extend the leg and just hang out. And the great thing about having a stretchy resistance band is you can explore putting more or less pressure. You can lift the head and chest up if you want to. Focus on your exhalation. And as I say, 3 or 4 breaths here is fine. I like engaging the arms, engaging the muscles in the legs a bit, so that I can feel that I'm stretching not just the flesh, not just the skin, but also the fascia, the connective tissue. Giving my body a chance to communicate, not just through thoughts, but through the nervous system. And then bend the knee, Hug the knee back in. Focus on the exhalation. Release the leg. And roll over onto your side, push up to sitting. That's your first posture. Let's see what I had us doing next. Oh yes, Purvottanasana. Okay, so you are using the upper body this time, and this will build strength in the arms. Again, I'm not going to use the text that I wrote. So when you come into Dandasana, the bow pose, push the heels away, lengthen through the whole spine. See if you can get as upright as possible. And you might need to sit on a block if you find that you're finding it difficult to sit upright. So see what feels good. And come to the front of the block, sit upright, lengthen the spine. And then you can take the hands back, open the chest a bit more. And this pose helps with blood pressure because we are often rounded in the chest. So you're opening your chest. And as I said at the beginning, you're creating good stress by putting yourself under a bit of pressure, making the heart work a bit harder, and then really noticing what happens when you relax. So you can bend the knees if you need to. You can put the soles of the feet on the floor, and you're going to be coming up into reverse tabletop. Bend the elbows, open the chest, slight bend in the elbows, lift the hips off the floor, lift up, draw the belly in a little. Head can stay forwards. You don't want to fling the head back. And as you get more advanced, you'll work on straightening the legs, and then you can try one leg or the other leg or both legs, and release. And you really only need to stay there for a second or two to begin with. You need to ease out the wrists, sit up, focus on your exhalation. So Dandasana is this pose, and Purvottanasana is the one that we've just done. Let's see what else I had for you. And just relax in the starting position. Okay, Marishyasana 3. This is another good pose. This is a spinal twist. And the benefit of doing a spinal twist is that you squeeze out, it's like rinsing out your spine. So you're getting a sense of squeezing, putting the blood vessels under a bit of pressure, and then when you release, the capillaries open more. So spinal twists in yoga are supposed to rejuvenate or create youthfulness in the body. This is a very simple one. You bend the right leg, bring the right foot as close to the groin as possible, keep the heel in front of the buttock, draw the spine upright, and then I'm going to be turning away from the camera. So right hand goes round behind. You can just grab the left hand, the right thigh with the left hand, and then turn towards the right. Lifting as you inhale. You can use a block under the hand if you want to lift yourself more. And turning as you exhale. And then inhale to come back. You can stay there for 3 or 4 breaths or longer. Let's just go to the other side briefly. So you can use a block if you want to. I don't generally use a block. Sit up tall, bend that left leg, left hand behind, fingers pointing out to the sides or back behind if you want to turn the shoulder more. Inhale and lift up through the body. Exhale longer than the inhalation. Feel as though you're stacking the vertebrae one on top of the other, so you're not leaning back, staying upright. Lift and turn. Inhale to the front and release. So that's your third posture. So you've got, and you want to feel as though you're letting yourself feel the impact between postures. Right. The next pose is Setu Bandha, bridge pose. So for this pose, we come down onto our mats again. And you can use your elbows to come all the way down. It's nice to do supported bridge as well, which is when you just take your blocks. You can take 1 or 2 blocks, or you can take 3 or 4 blocks, or cushions, and lift up the pelvis, and then just put the blocks underneath the pelvis. So you're not doing anything really, but you're doing a very gentle, getting the heart slightly higher than the head, which is what is called an inversion in yoga. And the benefit of that is that, again, it puts the circulation system in an unusual or surprising situation, a situation where the body is under very mild stress. And that means that when you come out of the posture, the stress is released. This has got all kinds of side benefits as well. Opening the chest, opening that area around the heart, improving posture. Now you can also go a bit further. You can press down into the feet, lift the pelvis up, remove the blocks, link the fingers behind the back, draw the shoulder blades closer together behind the back, lift higher, lengthen the exhalation. And release the hands and come down. And if it feels good, you can repeat that 2 or 3 times, and then just give yourself a few moments lying, relaxing, releasing, doing nothing. Again, turn over onto your right side, come onto your tummy, and we'll do Makarasana, which is the crocodile pose, with Brahmari or humming bee breath. So you're coming onto the toenail side of the feet, your legs are long, spine is long, elbows can be underneath the shoulders, opening the chest. So this is the basic pose. This is a bit like Sphinx pose, when your palms of the hands are on the floor, and you'll get a little back bend here. This is a nice pose. But we're going to bend the elbows, so you want maybe to bring the elbows a little further forwards. If you can stay here, if you bring the elbows in a bit, you're going to increase the back bend a little more. If you bring them further forwards, you're going to get more of a stretch in the arms, and you're going to be more in contact with the floor, so you'll notice this more in your diaphragm. And the benefit of this pose is that because you feel your diaphragm, you feel your breathing into the lower lungs, you tend to then become more aware of the lower lungs, which is what you need to use to deepen and lengthen the breath. And we're going to, if you can, also use the hands in the Brahmari, the humming bee breath position, which is thumbs over the ears, index finger over the eyelids, long finger to the outside of the flare of the nostril, ring finger to the upper lip, little finger to the lower lip. And you're going to just slightly press all those. You won't be able to hear when you won't be able to hear externally. You'll be taking the focus internally when you close the lobes of the ear, or the flaps of the ears over the ear hole. So you're going to be inhaling here, exhaling and humming the breath out. Or if you're cupping your chin, make sure it's not uncomfortable on the lower ribs. Deep inhalation. And then to relax, you can place forearm over forearm or palm over palm and rest the head on one cheek. And just give yourself a few breaths here. And you should notice when you're lying on your tummy that you're more inclined to let the breath sink down deeper into the lungs, or you're more aware of your abdomen while you're breathing. That all helps with this biofeedback mechanism. It's also useful when you close the earlobes or take the attention inwards. Brahmari is very calming for the mind because you're making an internal noise. So you begin to listen internally, and then the silence allows you to relax a bit more. So that all helps with low blood pressure. The next pose we're going to do, the second last pose, is Balasana, child pose. Oh, third last pose, I forgot. Sorry. Okay, so knees out to the side if you want. Cross the big toes, sit back on the heels. Obviously, if this is uncomfortable on the knees, then you may want to put a cushion or a block between the calf and thighs, so you're not. And that means that when you come forwards, you might want to place one fist on top of the other and use that to support the forehead. That's not comfortable for me at all, so I'm not going to do that. You can have the knees together or apart, and you fold forwards over the thighs. You can lengthen the arms out in front, forehead onto the floor, let the elbows relax. Or you can bring the knees together, bring the arms alongside the body, palms facing up. And just let the vertebrae come away from each other slightly, because you're stretching all along the spine. So this is really a release pose for the whole spine. It's also got a sense of safety. You're very enclosed, very protecting of the organs here. Focus on the exhalation. You won't be able to take deep breaths here, so just let the breath be a little longer than natural if you can. Let the exhalation be long. And then you can sit up, and you can sit up in Vajrasana. So this really is the second last pose. Vajrasana is the thunderbolt pose. And there are two ways of doing it. One is as I am now, with sitting on my heels. My heels have gone out to the sides slightly. They're pushing away from one another slightly. So don't jam the heels together. That's just very uncomfortable. You can have the heels out to the side slightly. So I'm resting my heels are just in front of or just out to the side of the base of my pelvis, my sitting bones. And that lets me sit good and upright. So I can bring my hands onto the lap, palm over palm, thumbs touching. Or you can sit, if it's comfortable. Lots of people can't sit like this, but if it's comfortable, you can sit in between the legs. That depends on the rotation of your knees, the rotation of your hips. But if this is comfortable, for some of us it's a good, stable position. And Vajrasana means diamond pose, and it's very good for promoting inner stillness. So just sit here for a few minutes and let the exhalation lengthen. You can have palms facing up on your lap as well, or you can press down on the feet to keep you drawing upright. And meditation, and this is essentially a meditation position. Meditation is quite clearly, in many clinical studies, shown to be beneficial for lowering blood pressure. So even a few moments of sitting, just sitting, taking the attention inwards is highly beneficial. And then we finish our yoga practice with the corpse pose, which is lying down on the mat. It's always a good idea to have a blanket. Let me just get my blanket. And to have, it's nice, I like having an eye pillow. So you can put your blanket over your legs, over your feet particularly. Lots of us with blood pressure problems also have circulation problems, so it's important to keep your feet, your extremities warm. It's important to be warm. You don't need to stay here more than a couple of minutes, but you do need to do this practice. You can put an eye pillow over your eyes. Really lovely to block out all the light and to take the attention inwards. Draw the shoulder blades close together behind the back. Take the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Arms alongside the body, fingers curled naturally. Take a breath or two. Take 3 or 4 longer, deeper breaths. I like breathing out through the nose, but if you need to, if you can breathe in through the nose, you can breathe out through the mouth if you need to for these longer, deeper breaths. Sighing out the breath. And then when you're ready, just let your breathing look after itself. Let the feet fall out to the sides. Make any minor adjustments that you need to. Let the palms face up, the fingers curl naturally. And then just practice observing. Observe from the soles of the feet, through the toes, the feet, the ankles, shins, calves, knees, thighs, front and back, buttocks, pelvis, abdomen, waist, whole of the back, chest, shoulders, arms, hands and fingers, neck, whole of the head, and then the face. And then take the attention to the breath. You're not controlling, you're just watching from the point at which the breath enters the body, the nostrils, all the way down through the throat, into the chest. See if you can notice the abdomen rising and falling as you breathe. all the way in, and follow the breath all the way out. And the breath might become quite subtle. Just watch it for a few breaths. So you've watched, observed your body, observe your breath, and then observe the thoughts and feelings and notice, and the more you practice, the more you will notice how a thought arises and then dissolves or changes into something else. And you can notice this with feelings, even feelings that seem quite solid. And there's just one more stage to this very brief Shavasana practice, and that is if you do notice that you've gone beyond thinking, you're not daydreaming, you've just kept your awareness here, that you're no longer thinking, you're just aware. And go into that state of relaxed, peaceful, effortless awareness. And then to come out of Shavasana, you can be aware before you begin to move that you're getting ready to come back to everyday activities and awareness. You can take a deeper breath or two, move the fingers and the toes, move the wrists and the ankles a little, roll the head gently from side to side. I generally tell people to roll over onto their right side. You might want to bend your knees, you might want to hug your knees, move them from side to side and massage the lower back a little bit, and then roll over onto your side. Pause there for a moment and then gently push up to sitting. And it's always good to finish your practice in a cross-legged position or in an upright sitting position. You can bring one hand onto your belly, one onto your chest, or you can bring the hands into a prayer position in front, and you're conscious that you are appreciating, you are grateful for the effort that you've made to look after yourself, to be more compassionate. You might not have been able to change the whole world, but you, for a few moments, were able to self-regulate. Practice looking after yourself, and imagine if everybody did that, what a different world we would inhabit. Humbly raise the head, release the hands. Thank you. I hope that's useful to you. I hope you can let me know, and see you again.